Bonjour! Hey everybody, we are live from CMON EXPO and I'm here with
Bryan Steele, that's me.
He's our resident Dark Age expert, and he is going to be showing you guys all the new cool stuff from this guy right here, which is the 2017 Master Rulebook.
Yeah.
So Bryan, let's do some highlights. I want to do some highlights, and I want to take some questions from you guys. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick flip through the book. Bryan's going to give you some sort of key cool things to check out and have a look at, and then we'll do some questions from the audience. How's that?
Perfect. That sounds great. All right. So obviously the 2017 Master Rules. We decided that we wanted to go with a fancier version. That if anybody who's familiar with the 2013 rules, they were very plain. It was a plain-looking book. It was bare bones. This is the rule book itself. We wanted to create something a little fancier. We got a brand new piece of art that no one's seen before. We got Mary versus Kerwin, old school stuff. But so we set out. The last rule book that we put out was back in 2013, and there's been 4 years of gameplay and meta changing.
Cards have changed. Everything's changed. Yeah.
The way the game plays has changed, and it was time. It was time to bring us up to snuff. So this book is a culmination of the last 4 years worth of game design and where things have gone and how we've moved forward with just collectively the style of Dark Age.
Right.
So first off, you can look at it. It's a beautiful book. We've got art and fancy cutaways and everything. An introduction to the world. A lot of people have seen this style before, but actually get to see the sides, the actual cave wing slits. Get into the factions. Get into the essential concepts.
It's cool too. It talks about some of the new products too, because that was the older book didn't talk about how to actually start playing the game.
Yeah,
it was just here's a game, go play it. But this actually has the 2-player starter in it.
It shows the starter. We've got an actual page cut out here, so it's got all the.
I love this. That's awesome.
Wanted Dead Alive for our very first Immortal player that ever won.
Hodge.
But so it's got all the different factions, including some little hints and tips of things that are yet to come.
Yeah, what's that symbol right there? Point that out again.
Well, this one would be the Earthcast, whose very first model came out today, in fact, at the Expo.
It did.
For the very, very first time.
I'm hoping to go home with some. They're pretty super sweet looking. Well, there's a limited too, and it's just at Expo. So if you want a reason to come to Expo, there's the sort of helmeted version of the guy with the huge meteor hammer thing.
Yeah,
what's it called?
So that's Graken, Herald of Tenacity. So the Earthcast are super zen. They're like the Buddhist monks of the Dragiri. And so Graken, he makes peace by preparing for war.
I'm gonna call him Tenacious G.
Tenacious G.
That's my new name for him. He's gonna be Tenacious G.
Every time I field him right now, I always say release the Graken.
Yeah.
But no, that's better.
It's Tenacious G.
That's what he's now Tenacious G. So here's another little preview. So we did the Scarred book, and these are all the new Scarred symbols. But there's another one here at the end.
Bonus symbol.
So we've announced in a couple of different places that there's going to be a new Scarred cult. And this is the sigil for the Cult of Decay.
The Cult of Decay. I got to see some pretty cool, sweet renders today of the Cult of Decay too at the panel that you guys did. So I can't show them to you guys obviously because it was at the panel, but you might see them in a live stream tomorrow, and I'll answer some questions.
It might just happen. So we get through all of our various things, and then it's got the updated. So if you're used to the old book, we still have this kind of thing where it tells you every single thing in the cards mean, but we went ahead and made sure it was an updated card.
Right,
it's not something that's going to change anytime soon. So that way you don't have to say, well, this is what the card is, but there's a new version of it. This guy's going to stay.
That core guy's from a recent release.
Exactly. Very, very recent. The definition, so we've got definitions. It is literally a start to finish how to get the game going.
Oh, that's cool. There's an intro scenario too.
This is just the how to set things up. There's actually we'll get to the back here. There are 6 scenario 6 5 there. I'll have to look.
You wrote it.
I wrote it, but I'm not. I want to say there's 6 scenarios in the back that are the kind of randomly determined just to get to play the game scenarios.
Right. Okay.
We got our new style of diagrams that actually have pictures of models in it.
Oh, it was super hot.
So that way, some top down model shots. Yeah. Let's get through all this boring rules stuff to some new things. We got new.
New terrain rules.
We got new terrain rules.
Updated terrain rules.
Well, one of the things that came through in the last 4 years is there was a lot of little things that new powers don't work with the with this particular terrain because that terrain keyword was written 5 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. So we had to update how all that was gonna work. We've got some examples of terrain, but then there's this is the part that people are probably going to be focusing a lot on, at least in the next couple weeks.
There's some spoilers in there.
There are definitely some spoilers in here. So we've already announced that we've got some new Brood rules coming and some Scarred coming down the pipe. So what we did is we made sure is the rules that we know that we're not changing.
Right.
They're in here. We've got a handful of them that people might be flipping through and go, hey, there's not a single model out there that has Bloodlust. What is Bloodlust?
What does Bloodlust do, and where can I get a model with Bloodlust?
Where can I get a model with Bloodlust? Yeah, right. So that's the idea of Defiance. We haven't seen that before.
Nope.
And these are things that we knew were going to be out before too long. So I wanted to make sure that this book covered a lot of that.
It future-proofs it a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I gotcha.
Then there's all the special abilities. Awesome new piece of art of so. Funny thing, we were going through making this book, and we found a very cool file in our Dropbox that had a bunch of art pieces that I had yet to see.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, and I was like, "What is this guy?" I was
Surprise
like,
art.
I was like, "This is so neat," and it's basically one of the original embers. Like you see a guy down here who's on fire,
yeah.
And this thing's rising up out of his corpse. So this was one of the original art concepts for the embers.
That's super cool.
And I was like, I'm gonna use this. This is really neat art. So there's some weapon abilities.
Any new ones?
There's a few.
Oh, Whiplash got made sort of like standardized, which is pretty cool.
Whiplash now has its counter specified, but there's also one of the things that we did do is that several of the places that have been kind of sticking points and things that are like, man, I don't know,
how these interact.
So in the case of Reaction Strike, this is a big one. This is one that you will definitely be paying attention to. So
for sure,
highlight. So Reaction Strike, because it has always been worded that is when an enemy comes into range or comes within range.
Right.
And there was some people that are like, well, what if that means when I walk up to you, you are now coming into range?
Right.
It is now very specific that under the note next to the Reaction Strike that comes within range refers to an enemy model moving or being moved into the range.
Right. So you don't get quick fire basically.
Exactly. You don't get the free. You don't get the free APs. You just walk up and start clobbering people. So things like Rend. Rend's like all the attacks from this assault group hit somebody, they get the multiplier.
Yep.
We wanted to make sure that it was very specific, so there's a note on there that says they do not gain the benefits if either of the attack dice are discounted.
Right.
Because
so like,
even though like sidestep or parry, if something even discounts the hit.
What would happen then if you were reaction striking and it dropped the assault group to 1? Would they get the Rend? So like, for instance, Johan has 2 backblades, and he only gets 1 backblade attack with reaction strike. Does he get Rend?
That is something, actually, if we flip back to attacks,
that
in the 2017 rules, under attacks, which
we defined attack?
We defined attack. It is very, very specific. When you make an attack, so under reaction strike, which I gotta get to reaction strike.
Yeah.
When we get to reaction strike.
You just had it.
Did I?
Yep, you just had it.
It's
it's weapon ability. Yeah.
So under reaction, once per round, when an enemy comes within range of this attack, this model may perform this attack for free against that enemy. This free attack occurs before the charge attacks are resolved. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. So now how to make an attack? You select the assault group. So whatever in this case is backblades, because that's got the reaction strike. You select the target. The target is already selected for you because he's moving into the thing. You determine the target number by adding the defense to the assault. You make the attack. When you make the attack, whenever called upon to make an attack, roll a number of d20s equal to the chosen attack's listed attack dice.
Okay, so I would get 2 now.
He would get 2.
Yay!
Yay for something that he gets to do.
He's super good.
He's very good. Now, of course, that's only once per round.
That makes strikes amazing because then they can
do their fists
if they want.
Which is funny for people who have watched some other videos that I've done. I was using that back when I fought Windlast.
Yep, absolutely. so my
turned around.
It's funny because that's my big thing with the strikes is they get it's not riposte, it's reaction strike.
Yeah.
And so they get to hit you basically when someone misses you, and And unfortunately, with only making one attack, they lose out on one because they have 2 fist attacks. But still good because you get bleed. Bleed is the best part.
You get bleed, but in this case, when you're fighting somebody who might have a lower defense that you're not sure if that Claymore is going to actually connect, you can go ahead and make sure that you'll have a better chance to connect.
Cool. That's super cool.
Yeah. So the definition of attacks, and I know that that's something that has come up in the past that is
sticky.
And again, it's little things as rules grow and as things change that we had to kind of point that out to make sure that
it was clear.
That is very clear. And in this case, it is when you're called to make an attack, you roll those dice.
Cool.
Period. Dot. End of story.
Awesome.
And that idea of especially like reaction strike or
retaliation,
those have come into effect like with some of the new model designs going into like the Brood and the Scarred, that we've decided that somebody who might have more attacks, they're probably going to be hitting at a lower rate,
right?
Because they're going to get multiple dice every time that happens.
Yeah,
and
I know, of course.
So you
don't want to spike their assault values. I mean, that's one of the benefits of 2 attack guys is you get to roll. You get more chances. Having a high assault makes your AP way more efficient than a normal model.
Yeah. So is there anything else? We defined that Crush, because Crush has always been, it's a really old ability.
Yep, it is.
That said
it's a scarred ability.
It's a scarred ability, but the hits could never be parried.
Right.
We actually specify that they can't be sidestepped either.
Yay! So if I grab you with my...
You got him in your little crutchy...
Yeah, if I grab you with my murder fist, you're not getting away.
You can't go scoot. Yeah.
Right.
Let's see, is there anything else that is in here that people might be interested?
Did proximity strike change at all? Because that was always one that people got confused by.
Is basically, it uses a template to determine the
number
models
of shots.
The number of shots is basically all that is. It is not a blast template. It is not a template attack.
Cool.
It is all regular.
So you can't sidestep it because that's a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. They're regular bullets. You're just using that template to
gauge targets.
To gauge that it's what targets you're actually hitting.
Awesome.
In fact, we specifically noted that.
Yay!
All right, so then you get into tournament play. You get into the scenarios itself. If you were somebody who's just picking this book up and goes, "Hey, I want to take this back to my store and run, a little event for my friends, a little 500-point event." It says, how you would go through, how long a game should take, how you would score out your victory points,
standard point sizes and stuff.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And then scenarios.
Being tabled. Let's talk about that.
Well, so one of the things in Dark Age that people have always really enjoyed is that it is possible for you to have your army get destroyed
and still win.
And still technically win. We have also seen that there are times where you could be the person that have built my army completely to just shred my opponents, and then I end up losing just because of my.
I kill him too fast. Yeah, I kill him too fast. Yeah,
exactly. So you end up holding back for a turn or two, and that's always seemed a little weird.
It drags the game out. That's a not fun player experience.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want the player experience to be idle and boring and bad.
Exactly. It's super counterintuitive. It's like I should be running at you and killing you, not waiting because
we should both be rolling
I'm
dice.
checking my watch. Yeah.
I'm not running the clock down.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm taking a knee.
Yeah.
So we put in. Specifically how points score out when you table somebody.
Oh, good.
So like if I crush my opponent completely, I'm gonna score a few extra points.
Right. Okay.
It might not be the 15 point landslide that if I let him have his one slave running around
pushing all the buttons and getting all the secondaries or whatever. Yeah.
But it does mean that you're like I'm getting it done and it's gonna happen.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then this is something I put in there because I'm very big into the sportsmanship in games, and one of my least favorite things is when someone plays 2 turns and decides the game is done. There's no way I can win. This is horrible, and they just say handshake, quit.
Right.
Because how do you score that?
Yeah.
I don't want my opponent, even though he's got to win. Those points were big for tiebreakers.
Yep, absolutely.
That's like going into the further rounds of a tournament. So we actually put in there's a very heavy penalty
to forfeiting.
Got it. To specifically saying you just play it out.
Yep.
If you think you're going to lose,
play to the end.
Play till the end.
Yep.
Give it a shot. Or get tabled and then the game ends and he gets a couple extra points.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the scenarios. So
how close are these going to be to MTI 2017?
Well, there are going to be additional scenarios for MTI 2017.
Cool. So is this going to be a core pack that then you'll add on to?
This is basically if you just want to play straight away, these are good scenarios. The actual MTI document that's going up onto the website has 5 additional scenarios and a little table for you to roll on if you want to do it random.
Cool. Awesome.
So your first scenario is recon. It's your basic. This is the
go score secondaries and kill each other.
I'm gonna go get my friends. Then we've got the unexpected engagement, which is basically another one of those sort of straight apart from each other, but you've actually got multiple deployment zones.
Right.
So you can split your army up.
And you can't battle line.
Secondaries are more important.
Oh, wow. Okay, all secondaries are worth +1 VP in addition to what they normally score. That's huge. That makes Kingslayer really big. That means you can score a landslide of secondaries. And there's no cap on secondaries either, which is huge.
In the new 2017, there is no difference between primary and secondary objective.
Oh, so it's just VPs.
You get VPs. Yeah. The reason why they are split out based off the scenarios is because some scenarios will specifically say, you can only earn 10 of these. That sort of thing. All games are to 8 turns, period. That has not changed, but we're not changing any of that. There are some new deployment zone types.
Oh, cool. Okay, so there's some diagonal deployment.
This is probably one of my favorites of the new missions out of
Open Grave.
Open Grave, Burying the Dead. You've got corner deployments, and you've got a diagonal no man's land.
Crazy.
And there's a big 3-inch thing in the middle. It's basically, for those people who've been playing before, who remember the Power of the Tower.
It's Reactivate Tower.
Is almost an opposite. Instead of taking tokens from the small objectives and taking it to the middle,
you pull them out.
You run to the middle, you pull something out of the open grave, and then take it to the
and bury it. That's awesome.
Yeah. This also is the first mission that has the sunken keyword to their objective markers, and what that means is that it's basically an inverse terrain.
Okay.
If you have your base completely within that marker, you are considered one size smaller for line of sight purposes.
Are you in cover too?
If that thing has cover.
Has cover. Got it. Okay.
So it allows you to. This allows people to make that terrain that keyword allows people to make trench lines.
Yeah, little bunkers. That's so cool.
You can kind of build your own scenario pieces.
Although, interestingly enough, because I think you get an elevated bonus, don't you, in combat still? Or I don't know if you do.
You do not.
You do not. Okay, then it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
No. Duel of Champions is a variation of the old champion scenario that is not quite so straightforward.
Okay.
It's not quite so I make this guy and he kills everything.
Right.
This is, you still name a champion, but you want to try and get him across the board and get him to kill over there.
Oh,
so you get more points deeper.
Based on where you are.
Based off of where you.
So you can't just camp and shoot. You have to actually go off and do things. Because it was very easy often to do champion with like good shooting models.
Yeah.
And you could get points really easily.
I'm looking at you, Mark.
Just saying. Just saying.
And then the last one, oddly enough, I actually got to play this today. Which I gotta say, I'm gonna take a moment real quick. I'm gonna
shout out.
I'm gonna do a quick shout out to why I love the CMON EXPO is because most of these games, most of these conventions that I go to, I'm constantly it's panel to tournament to
chatting
it's constant.
Demos.
And this one is so much more laid back when it comes to in between the events that I got to play not 1 but 2 full games of Dark Age 2
with fans.
Just with people who were like, hey, are you busy? And I'm like, you know what, not right now.
From my point of view, that is a really interesting thing about this event is you get really unrestricted access to game designers. Like you get to just go and chat with people that design the games and play games with them and hang out, and like it's a really intimate event compared to like really big cons or even cons where like a company's at the con, but they're part of a larger thing going on. So they have this little corner of the event, and you're always bing bang booming around. Like I just got to play 2 games too against people,
which is fun. I mean, like it's that's what these shows are supposed to be about, and the number of people that like swing by and they're like, "What are you playing?" You know, that's what this is all about, and I love Expo because of that, because it gives us an opportunity to do a lot more mingling with fans and playing.
Well, they get to see you as a real person too. Like I mean, I've played games against you before, but like to you guys out there in chat world, right? Like you don't have the opportunity to just hang out with Bryan all the time and play games with him. This is a place where you actually just come and do that, and spend a weekend like chatting about Dark Age and stuff too. So it's been super cool.
So back to the book.
Back to the book.
The Ancient and Bloody Wasteland is the last scenario in this book. This is basically a souped up version of the old Slaughtering Fields.
Right, okay.
So the objectives are set up very specifically. It's set. There's a wall of objectives in the middle of the middle of no man's land. It's 6 set up almost like
you don't get to choose, eh? Oh,
that's
wow.
where they go.
Okay, that's really different.
And most importantly, they are not only heavy cover, do not block line of sight, rough terrain, but they are also dangerous. And the new keyword of Xenosaithic.
What?
So, Xenosathum is these crystals that kind of power a lot of stuff, and people who play Xenoshift will recognize it that it's the
crossover.
The primary resource in Xenoshift is Xenosathum.
That's so funny because when they actually like plot Adder, when the humans find Adder, there's not supposed to be anything on it that's worth anything.
Yeah, well,
that stuff's on there.
Well, it's on here because this was the reason why they originally got here.
Got it. Okay.
Xenoshift takes place way in the past.
In the past, got it. Understood.
Yeah, things have already fallen apart since then. But the Xenosaithic keyword is it is like it's riddled with these crystals. It's full of energy, and if you have a blast marker of any kind, any kind of template, blast, spray, stream, anything that goes over the objective
or touches it,
adds an additional power multiplier to anything it hits.
Oh my god. That's so good.
So
my Firestorm army, which wants to play
Firestorms will just hide around this and be like, but it works.
That's my scenario right there.
But so it absolutely. This is probably one of my favorite things because there's just so many secondary objectives that are about running up and touching an objective or things like that. So now all those little blast ones that it's like, man, you never hit more than one guy with it. That's just fine.
That's just fine if it's going to make him. if it's going to be a ×3 hit or a ×2 hit or whatever.
And then we've got a sample of the secondary objective cards.
A tapas plate.
Yes, just a little bit, which we'll actually get into
right now.
Let's just do it now. Let's take a breather.
And let's look at them now.
So we also released the secondary objective deck.
And these are here today. Like you can actually, they're at the shop. You can actually check them out. And how many cards is it? 40 cards like the other one?
It is 36. Well, the last one was only 30.
Oh, sorry, I'm confusing with a different game. That's right. Yeah, 30.
Yeah, so we took all of the existing ones and changed up some of the. Let me find one that is. Let me find one of the ones that might have a change to it. There's one that I know. There we go. So we took all of the old ones and had cleaned up their language, and so like specifically the bounty hunter one. This was one that a lot of people are like, I never feel my opponent never takes characters.
Right.
And so it was always just kind of a wasted card. Well, we've added a little caveat at the bottom that says if the enemy does not currently have a character in their force, this instead scores when you kill the highest point value guy.
That's awesome because there's so many games where you just have a handful of cards you can't do, and you're just waiting to drop them. Yeah.
So we've got some of these. There are. There's another one that it's the scavenge supplies. There we go. Scavenge supplies was another one that seemed like it was just way too easy to do before.
Right.
Where because you could
just walk over and just bang,
yeah. AP, and I win. This one now specifically says a model once per activation can do 1 AP.
So you need 3 guys to do it.
You get 3 guys or scored over 3 turns.
Yeah. Because
it
was funny because I would get that one and center it in the same turn. I'd be like, I start and end on the same one. I scavenge 3 times.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. Well, then we added a couple of extra ones. There we go. Surprise attack, kill 1 enemy model that has not yet activated this round.
Is that in this round? That's in this one. I just did that one last game. That one's old.
Which one am I thinking of?
Bully's not. Bully's
getting
old.
The jump. That's
okay, there you go.
Getting the jump is kill 1 or more enemy models with the first model to activate. In a
that's round. Cool. Okay.
So if that's the first guy who you've gone, you can get a quick little point off of that. It's great for assassins.
Yep.
Waste no moment is a good one. End the round with all remaining friendly models in contact with objective markers and or being engaged with enemy models.
Cool.
So as long as your entire force is engaged with somebody, including an objective, you score 2 points.
You score 2 points. That's crazy.
Yeah. So nobody
hard to do.
Nobody gets to hang back with
it's true, but those little tanky armies that are like 5-6 models and 750, that's like that's another leg up for them that makes them not feel so outnumbered. Because they used to struggle on secondaries. They were all about trying to kill you.
Well, we'll get to it. One of the cool things about the MTI with secondaries in a second, but that's specifically the MTI rules.
Right.
So No Mercy is another one. Kill 1 or more enemy models that is prone or dying or regenerating. So if they're on their back, you get a point if you kill them.
Cool.
Sultan Ruin.
Oh, I took the name of that
one. This is basically a more widespread version of Burn It Down. So
okay.
if Burn It Down's kill 1 objective dead, this is the three closest objectives to the enemy.
So furthest from you.
Yeah. Furthest from you. You get 1 point on each of them.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a way to spread it out, and then back to relay.
Back to old ones.
So yeah, we cleaned up some things. So Instant Giant Killer was another one of those. One from
out
the
of the
model.
subnote. Yep.
It has kill with a larger size.
Happened to me last game. I was all small guys against all small guys, so I literally couldn't score.
So in this case, if there are no enemy models of a larger size than any of your force's models in your opponent's force, you may instead kill one enemy model with the highest point value.
Cool. That's awesome.
Different definition of giant.
Right. Yeah. Just,
and then there's the same way with the small small version.
Bully. Yeah. So there's nothing smaller than you. You just pick the lowest point value or something like that. Cool.
So in the MTI document, there's going to be one additional rule that's allowed for making your secondary deck.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So you basically get to
pick 30 out of 36.
You pick 16, a minimum of 16. You can have as many as you want.
Interesting.
You can have all 36 if that's what you want, or if we ever add some individual cards and OP kits or things like that, you could add those down the road.
Those ones, yep.
You can whatever you want to do must have at least 16. And
that's really cool.
And no more than one of each card.
So constructed secondaries. That's really neat.
And the reason why this is that, like you said earlier, is that some of those big model forces,
the Godzilla lists,
the Godzilla lists, it was very easy for them to get 2 or 3 rounds of just bad cards.
Right.
And
they're just behind.
If it's not a mission about killing, they just couldn't do it. So now if you've got somebody who's playing one of those Godzilla lists, they could tailor their deck to have 16 cards.
Right.
That are hopefully all killy, and then that way they know they've got something they can be working toward every turn.
Cool.
And if you only do the 16 cards, because again, as soon as the one time that you go, I'm not going to be able to get this one, you sacrifice it. You're literally saying, I'm not going to score that.
That's
point.
one of 16 points I'm not able to do all of a sudden. That's crazy.
So, and that's just a tournament rule. That's not a. I mean, most people will probably end up doing it
in their practice games anyway. Yeah, they're like at home games.
So then we've got one of the things that the last book was missing. Like we did the faction thing in the front. We did the faction stories, but one of the things that we were missing is there wasn't a good flavor. There wasn't like a
fluff section,
a little fluffy thing. And so a new author that we signed on named Riley Vickery. Riley wrote a very interesting story about the first time.
Oh, what's that? What's that? What could that be?
Well, we talked about the Cult of Decay, so there might be some dead folk running about.
Zambies.
But this is basically about a Bane who has just been recruited. This is his first time out in the world.
Oh, I love that. I love it when you do it through the point of eyes of someone you can relate to. It's just Joe Every Guy and the world.
This is Jacques Every Guy, no question, because it is straight up Bane versus Scarred.
A day in the life.
Yeah, and it is a rough day for him.
He's Ethan Hawke in Training Day.
Yeah. So, so it's a fun little couple of pages, and it's a neat.
Taste of the world.
It's a neat, it's a good feel of the. It ends with everything is trying to kill you.
That makes sense, and it is.
And then we've got the
print and play,
the print and play type things if you're really feeling like it, and then of course just the end of the book itself.
That's great.
Little Salt Nomads versus Firecast on the back.
So this is going to be in hardcover. It's available right now today at EXPO, and
for $19.99. It's actually only a $20 book. US.
That's not bad for a hardcover book.
And
how much is the deck? US?
15.
Something like that?
I think it's fit. No, the secondary objective that's like 5.
5.
Yeah. Basically, our essential printed products we do extremely discounted because we know everybody has to have them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're still doing that thing too. If someone has the 2013 hardcover,
it's not even just the 2013.
Oh, it's
any previous core rulebook. Don't bring me the Forsaken book. But if you bring me 2013 or the old Exodus book or the
I think I have the original one. I think I might have the first edition one.
Like the actual Genesis book?
Yeah, Genesis book. I'm pretty sure I do.
Yeah, so you bring any of those to any convention that we've got stock of this. Now, we're not doing it through the mail or anything like that, but if you come to any of our conventions that we've got stock, we'll flip it out for free.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, we've got them as the download on the website.
Yep.
So there's no reason for us not to kind of be supportive of our fan base.
Keep people current. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if nothing else, it gets people to have more fun with their toy soldiers, and that's the whole point.
Yeah, that's the whole goal here, is to everybody have a great time, and that's one way for us to do it.
Cool. Well, there you go. You guys got to see the 2017 Master Rules. Have a flip through with Bryan. Have you guys got any questions? Let's hit some questions from the chat.
Yeah, let's talk about questions.
What do we got? Anybody? Upcoming releases, spoilers. I got Bryan here.
I was gonna say, and Dave Taylor's not here to rein me in.
That's right. He can't,
which means he can't tell me to shut up about new stuff.
And I won't stop him. Actually, you know what? Let's just talk about that zombie. Why is that guy a zombie to start off with?
So, okay, what's funny? That's one of those pieces of art that we found in the back. I was like, this is just awesome art. Why am I not using this? So the Cult of Decay have reanimated corpses that they, I guess I can pull that out so people can see it. We can pull that thing back out. There we go. So this one's a little less fleshy than the zombies that are coming with the Cult of Decay, but the Cult of Decay have bodies that they've scavenged, stolen. They actually have one of their units is they're grave robbers. They steal. They go in.
and actually steal people.
They
awesome.
take away the corpses from the New Ashkelon and stuff. And one of those units is those bodies that have been ceremonies involved, and they do this ceremony of resurrection, and they stuff them full of fungus and sew their mouths shut. And the fungus, because it wasn't
that X-Files episode?
Someone had brought it up to me that they were like, it's like The Last of Us.
Okay.
And I was like, Last of Us, because I haven't played it.
Yeah.
And so someone played me the intro videos and 2 of the cinematics, and I was like, yeah, so kind of like Last of Us.
I can see this. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I can see where this correlation is made. So basically, it's called necrosis mold. It's this black, nasty kind of slime that they discovered after the bomb went off at Mount Dodron.
Right, okay. The neutron bomb. The oblivious neutron bomb.
And whether or not it is honestly bringing back the dead is kind of irrelevant.
Right.
Mother Blazin believes that she can talk to it.
And so it is. Yeah. It's the psychogenic.
She has a connection, because when she says, get up and fight for me,
they do. So it doesn't matter.
So exactly. It's all about the eye of the beholder. And in this case, these stuffed bodies, they get up and fight for her just fine.
That's awesome.
And because we wanted to make sure that there's a tie to the world, all of the models involved, they look like other models that are in the game.
Yeah, they're like dead versions of existing models. That's so cool.
And if anybody who's fans of the Return of the Living Dead series, not the Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, but the Return of the Living Dead series.
With the talking, driving car zombies.
Yeah, more, send more cops. But the third one of those, they had a whole series of them where they were decorating themselves, because the only time they could feel anything was when they were shoving nails and stuff through them.
Yeah.
So
it got very Hellraiser in the end.
Yeah. So all of the flesh echoes, to make them dangerous, have
bits shoved into them,
like knives and stuff stuck in them. So when they're flailing at people, it makes them more dangerous if they're sharp.
Absolutely.
Well, because their mouths are sewn shut, and they're not there to eat brains. They're literally just kind of.
Yeah, they're just kind of stumbling around. So they have to have sharp bits on them to bump into you.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And so the flesh echoes are a very inexpensive unit that you can take lots of. And they are going to harass the hell out of so many people.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, here we got some questions in the chat now. Let's go with, when's the Scarred book coming out?
We're shooting for August. We're in crunch mode on it right now. So Gen Con is the release for that. We're in crunch mode on that to get everything finally edited. All the rules are done. Most of the models are done. There's a couple of kits that we're still waiting on the finals for. But it's looking at Gen Con, and I'm psyched. So good.
I saw the cover for it today, and it's pretty sweet.
Well, particularly,
it's pretty sweet. It's got my boy on the cover.
It's got Papa Joe.
Got Papa Joe on the cover, and he's lugubriously laying on a throne too, which I think is super awesome.
When you look close, he's got a little chalice.
Yeah,
of course. He's
crunking. He's crunking hard.
Yeah.
So let's see some other ones. Is there a new 2-player starter set coming out anytime soon? So not the Dragiri and the.
So not right now.
Isaac.
My goal is to get us to the point where a book or two from now, we'll be able to launch another 2-player starter set, and we'll be able to launch hopefully maybe another plastic 2-player starter set, kind of like the first one did. We do have plans for some more options, plasticky wise, but that's another conversation. Nothing like that set in stone yet.
Right.
I would love to do another 2-player starter set that touches on some other factions. Right now, we just have to really kind of focus on getting the game out in the stores, getting people talking about it more, and letting the other branches of the industry, so to speak, let them know that we're here and we're not going anywhere.
When you got a lot of 1-player starters too right now, like there's a lot of box sets that you can get into a faction individually. So like the 2-player starter is a fantastic value and it's a beautiful box set. But like if you particularly like a single faction, I think with almost no exceptions, you can buy a box that gets you 500 points.
As of Gen Con, all of the factions and all of the Dragiri sub-factions will have a $60 500-point faction starter.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily you can't get a 2-player starter. The 2-player starter is handy, but again, the nice thing with the 2-player starter, and I was talking about this to somebody earlier, is because of the way that those two factions are structured, if you play Forsaken at all, and you play Dragiri at all, if you buy that box, you basically just got sidebar models. You know what I mean? Like I was looking at my Johan list for Immortals, and I've only got 2 Followers of the Heretic models in it. The rest of it's all unaligned Forsaken. So like when I go and paint my starter set, I'm swapping in 5 new models, and everything else already works. So like I've already got the stuff to do it. And the same with my Dragiri. Like I have a potential 2 sidebars worth of Ice Cast, or I go and buy maybe those cool new Lost characters for the Earth Cast and add them to that, and I've got a 750-point list. So it's like both of those are flexible enough really that if you bought that 2-player starter and you're interested in either of those factions, you'd find a use for them eventually.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got. What's a good budget for getting into, you just said it, into Dark Age?
Oh, yeah. So any of the new styled faction starter boxes are $60, and that's 500 points.
Right.
So if you're like, I really want to play Firecast, you grab the Firecast starter, and it's 500 points right out of the box.
Cool.
Easy peasy. I see a couple of questions. Dale Nisbet's asking about, is the primary victory condition missing from scenario 2? It isn't. It is in here. In fact, I will show you. It is right there.
There you go.
We had some technical difficulties today. Actually goes into someone else made a comment about, are they going to be online, that kind of thing. We're having some technical difficulties with the Dark Age page currently. There's some drop-down weirdness.
Yeah,
our technical dude is looking at it right now to fix things and figure out what the heck is going on. There's just a lot of stuff. The unit box uploads into the web store, all those things. That's a lot of moving parts, and the IT guys are looking at it. So, yes, the primary victory conditions are there, and yes, there will be more stuff to buy. But right now, all of the 1s and 0s are not cooperating.
They're currently all trying to get into the same inner tubes. The inner tubes are now full of 1s and 0s.
Yeah.
How about more gaming stuff? We got. Do you have any time frame for the update for the Brood? We talked about that in the thing too.
Yeah. So this summer.
Yay!
In fact, if anybody watched some other videos we put out or anything like that, we showed some of the resculpts that are coming down the road. Their rules will be actually much closer than you think. It'll be later this summer. We're doing a beta rules launch. Their book is not scheduled to 2018.
Next Gen Con.
So next Gen Con.
Right.
And we just didn't want to leave them behind. So the Brood are getting their coat of paint much earlier.
Kind of like the K3 did.
Kind of like the K3 did, except in this case, no new models. It's just new rules for existing models. And then over the course of the next year, I'll be able to release all those resculpts to use these rules alongside them.
Awesome. What else we got? We got...
What is new for Prevailers?
There you go.
Well, there's something in the Scarred book that is a horror show that's made out of Prevailers.
That's entertaining.
We won't get into that. And anybody who's read the Dragiri book all the way through kind of has an idea of what
it's made out of.
What that might be made out of. Oh my God! I wish I had a picture to show you guys. No, that's one I'm saving. That is one that's not. Dave would be proud of me. That's not
for
one.
Saving it.
Yeah, that's going to be one of those things that when people get the Scarred book, they're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, what is this horrible thing?" And then they'll notice what it is. But for Prevailers, something that you will have access to in July, we talked about it recently. The Hanyuls are getting a unit box. They're currently of all the Forsaken boxes. People are like, "Man, there's a couple of models that are still in blisters that aren't." Out in their boxes yet. The Ajax suit is getting a box in June that comes with 2 ways to field it. either as Isaac or one of the lesser versions of the suit that are not quite as cool as his. And then in July, we are releasing the Hanyul Triad box, which are 2 Hanyuls and the brand new officer for them, the Hanyul Ranger.
The Ranger, that's right. Yeah. It's a super cool model, too.
Yeah, it's a really, really neat model. And he's basically a super scout, like ultra scout. And because their Hanyuls are generic Forsaken, they're unaligned Forsaken, the Prevailers can take them.
Well, here's one answer I can answer. It's about new stuff from Arsenal, because I got to see it today. There's actually new terrain from Arsenal. There's the new cages.
There's the new Slaver cages, which are
pretty
awesome
rad.
for objectives.
They fit either as 40 mil objectives, or the 40 mils fit inside of 50 mil bases, so you can make them into that.
Well, and the bottoms, you don't have to glue them down, and you can put a model in there.
Absolutely, they can actually go you can stick a guy inside the cage.
Yeah, it's super cool.
There's the new wagon, which is super cool. The cart, and that could be handy for.
So one of the MTI missions is the caravan control,
right,
which requires you to have basically an index card sized thing in the middle of the board that you kind of push around. And we told the Arsenal guys that when they made the crashed cart for the Path to Glory launches, and they were like, so we can just make like a cart, right? And we're like, yeah. And so they made this kit that is. It's like $14, I think.
And it's like a Mad Max style.
It's a Mad Max style like big
flatbed. It's so cool.
It's amazing, and it comes with a bunch of like scatter crates that you put in the back of it. But it also they were awesome enough that it comes with a 3x5 cork board
base
to put on the little acrylic leftover from the rest of the kit. They do such good stuff, and so that's. For $14, if anybody who might play these MTI scenarios, grab one. It's totally worth it.
I wouldn't be surprised too if they might, because he's really into the scenarios and stuff. If they might do more scenario stuff like the grave and the pits and stuff like that.
I believe I overheard something about the tower.
The tower. Hey, there you go. That's perfect. Does Stone Skin actually mean that the model doesn't take a wound if he rolls 10 or other and isn't hit by extreme damage?
If they're hit by extreme damage and they roll the 10 or under, all it says is it reduces by 1 wound.
There you go.
So if you're getting hit with ED, it'll turn that 2 wounds into 1.
A single one.
The big thing to pay attention to with Stone Skin is it is only attacks. So if you're bleeding or on fire,
doesn't stop it.
It doesn't stop it. So those kinds of attacks are that's the way to get past those.
Kill those guys.
Yeah,
got it.
Or just roll terrible like I did today.
That's also always
that's a valid,
expecting my opponent to roll terribly.
That's a valid way for Tenacious G to go down quickly.
It's his name now. It's his name. You heard it here first. I want to box all the heavy outcast guys like Mongo and the Nameless model.
So yes, there is a Mongo box coming. There's a handful of outcast box. There's 1 or 2 of the Forsaken boxes that aren't up. We're actually waiting on. Actually, we might not be waiting because I got UPS emails today that a bunch of stuff hit the warehouse.
Hooray!
So those restocks are coming. That's all it was. I didn't want to put a hey, check out this cool box on the web store and have it just have here it is and out of stock. So that's just mean. Here's this cool thing that you can't have. Yeah. So look for them soon. The restocks are coming and they're coming in waves.
I love Dave Taylor's painting tutorials on your website. Tom Lynch asks, what's his next article? I don't know.
Neither do I. I'll talk to him, and we'll he's here at the show, and I'll poke him and be like, hey, they want more painting stuff. Do some more painting stuff.
Does 1 HP become 0 for Stone Skin? It does. Okay, there you go. Ruling.
It does not say minimum 1. So it is a way for you to shrug off those one hit point hits.
Just oh my gosh, that's obnoxious. It's like the new sidestep.
It's sidestep that still can
doesn't work against crits. So you get effects, but you don't.
Sidestep doesn't work against crits.
It doesn't work against crits. I'm saying it doesn't work against. Nothing works against crits though.
Yeah, crits just
crits kill.
Unless you're a Tuchanok.
That's true. Just rub dust shoulders off.
It's not that big of a deal.
Shoulders off. Looking at getting into Dark Age, are there any factions in flux or being revamped sculpt-wise? I'm afraid to get minis that are obsolete. This is a good one for you to go through because it's happening right now.
Right now. The big one right now, if you do not want to buy older models unless they speak to you, is the Brood. There are a lot of old Scarred models that are also being revamped, and those are coming out kind of currently because the book's coming out in just a couple months. So you'll start seeing those Scarred models soon.
If it's not in a box, that's a pretty good indication.
Yeah, as we're moving forward to these unit boxes, as all of the new models come out, unless it's a limited edition model that's like only at shows or something like that, or prize support, if it's not in a box, it is probably an old sculpt. Or one way you can check it is as the sculpts get replaced, we're tearing them out of the web store. We're like, I don't even want you guys to see these because they're old and I would rather you buy the new fancy.
What else we got? Will the Salt Flat Nomads, Kyle asks, will the Salt Flat Nomads have their points updated to match the rest of the factions?
Yes.
That's actually, they're the newest, oldest thing now, aren't they?
Exactly. They're of the stuff that kind of stays in the same sort of power category, but their point values are annoyingly just a little off.
And it's not even all of them either. It's like just a few outliers that are like 35 points
the
or
Outcasts,
something.
I've said it before, I want to do some stuff. I want to do some stuff with the Outcasts. Similar to kind of how we did, not like so overwhelmingly different as the K3 or the Kukulkani or the
was
Core,
new stuff,
where there was, well, I didn't say that. I didn't say that there weren't new Outcasts being thought of right now.
I'm just the sound guy. Don't listen to me.
Listen to him. No, so I want to do Outcasts, bring them up to the 25-point scale.
1 point. It's not 1.25.
But I also at that time because there's a handful of the models in the Outcast force that I think underperform, and because we're going to have to massage some of these numbers to get them to 50, 75, wherever they might be.
Do they go up or do they go down? Because there's like a 65. Where does he go?
Exactly.
Does he go 70 or does he go 50?
So what I'm going to be looking at is some of these guys that either underperform or there's two models that are now going to be at the same point value.
Right.
I want them to do different things so you have reasons to
take them.
Yeah.
There can't be one that's the same value that's just obviously better.
Right. And so that is going to be worked on, and it's actually the beginnings of it have started to be penciled down. Playtests have not begun on them yet, so it's going to be a little while. Right now we're still focusing on the Brood and the Scarred.
No, I mean, you're doing a Brood update, web style sort of this year plus Scarred. Maybe next year it'll be Brood gets done plus something for the salties.
Yeah, exactly. It's
the sort of like half measure that can happen each year.
And part of it is also I'm interested to see who wins Immortals tomorrow.
Oh, right, okay.
Because let's say someone wins Immortals and they go, I want a Salt Flat Nomad as my Immortal.
I'm not going to say that.
Guess what's going to get some focus real soon is going to be part of that. Kind of like what we did with the Core.
Right.
The Lightbringer was an Immortal figure that gave us the impetus to say, okay, revamp the whole Core.
Right.
It won't be nearly that extensive, but it would give us the fuel behind let's get it done.
Gotcha. All right, what else we got? Can you give Michael Schnell a poke in the ribs and encourage him to do more podcasts? His design chats are great for newbies, it says.
He is extremely... I'll happily poke him in the ribs, don't get me wrong.
He'd do that for free. You need a reason.
It doesn't even have to... You don't even walk by. Let's be a walk-by poking. Just give him a jab. But Michael has been extremely busy with the Song of Ice and Fire design.
That's right, that's a big game.
And so he is extremely focused on that right now. So doing the additional podcasts and stuff, that's one of the reasons why I've been trying to do as many Facebook Live videos as I can.
To fill the void, sort of.
That and I love cameras.
You're doing great. I want you to know. You're doing fantastic. You're not
now that I've learned how to use my webcam.
And then you look at mine and you're like, what are you doing right there? That's so fancy.
Oh my gosh. That first one was just garbage.
You did great.
It did.
You're talking to people. That's all that matters.
All right. But yeah, so I'll poke him and tell him that you guys want to see more stuff from him. I do know that there are a couple of other YouTube channels. I know we're going to get some stuff on Geek and Sundry at some point. But there's still going to be some more access of some starter level stuff.
You did a bunch of Beast of War. You did a whole week on Beast of War too.
Yeah, but I do think that with the new master rules, we need to do a couple of shots
to update it all. Yeah,
to update it all and to make sure because squad linking changed a little bit, not massive.
You'll see that on the Let's Play that I'm doing actually in 2 weeks too, guys. There'll be a Let's Play for Dark Age that Brian and I are going to record this weekend, and then I'll have a little bit of that, so you guys will have a little bit of insight into the 2017 changes and using the new starter sets. So you can see how those two things go together.
Yeah. All right, what else we have?
We got, what are your plans for distribution in places like Australia?
So I'm actually super keyed in with, we've signed new distributors, several new distributors. Australia has not been one of them yet. So any retail stores that are interested, I would say email Carl at CARL at CMON.com. He is our international sales guru. And if there's any distribution services out there that might be interested in carrying Dark Age, Wrath of Kings, that kind of stuff, he will be the one that will help orchestrate making that happen.
Yeah, because stage one is always, you got to find a place for it to land, especially in the Pacific market. There's got to be a distributor. So the retailers asking the distributors will help Carl.
Exactly. The more of those business outlets that talk to, even if they can't get directly to Carl, and honestly this goes for like the U.S. customers too, is email sales@cmon.com because that goes to several people in that chain. And it gives them an opportunity to see that there are lots of stores that want to carry it, and possibly have your stores talk to your distributors, that kind of thing.
The number one way that you guys can influence that is go into your local shop and ask them if you can buy it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if a retailer has 20 people come into a store and offer him money that he can't take, then he's going to start calling his distributor and being like, okay, they want to buy it. I'm gonna try and get it for you, and that kicks that ball off rolling. At the end, the biggest catalyst for this thing is you guys going into your local retailer and saying, "I really want to buy this. It's hard to buy it overseas. How can I give you my money?" And then those retailers go and do the rest of the work. That tips the dominoes, and they start falling over. What else we got? Here's a good one. Though you're updating sculpts, are you gonna make any of the old original models or I guess stats unable to be used? Are you going to make anything obsolete?
So if we have ever, in my opinion, with a few exceptions of any model that has been out before, because there's one Shadowcast model that was never actually fully released. It was the
I have one.
I've got one too. It was one of my Gen Con painting award guys.
He's got the shield, and that's
He's got like a shield, stabby shield thing.
He's the Shadow something.
Like Shadow
Walker?
Shadow Walker, I think.
He was the Shadow Walker. So I have one.
Other than like him, and I think there's one other like old bounty hunter.
Well, there's the 2 War Winds. That's the only one I can think of, but it doesn't really matter because they're just War Winds.
Well, yeah, they're still just.
It's the guns,
the pistol.
The pistol one, yeah.
And that's just because we took away her pistol. Although I've seen 2 people, they're going to use her as the Hondul Ranger, and another one's going to use her as an alternate Manhunter.
Well, that's a cool idea, for the Manhunter.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's fantastic. And again, our
or Orchid even.
You could
She'd be perfect Orchid.
Yeah, like an unmasked.
Actually, you could use both of the old ones as Nathaniel and Orchid.
Yeah,
they're actually perfect for it.
Ta-da.
With no masks
on. So the goal here is that we don't want anyone to look at their model set and, well, I can't ever use these 5 guys. They might not be nearly as attractive as the new ones, but the idea being, other than possibly having to rebase something because of how the rules have changed
the
on
base
them,
size changed
other than base sizes that might alter, I don't want anyone to have to throw out or shelf models completely. Now, what that does say is that there are models in the game that have stats that have never received miniatures that might not ever receive a miniature.
So if you converted something.
Or you sculpted one from scratch.
Is it Pod? No, Pod has a miniature.
Pod has a miniature.
Who else doesn't? Alpha Broodling?
Alpha Broodling has a miniature. Alpha Pud does not have a miniature. The Mucus Bloatling does not have a miniature, but I can say for sure that the Mucus Bloatling is staying because it serves a very particular function in the Force. But if it doesn't have a model or it never had a model, it might not get one.
But that's so rare. I can't even.
Exactly.
We can't even think of it.
It's extremely limited.
Yeah.
If there is a current model on that web store, we're not going to tell you that you can't use it.
Gotcha.
It might get resculpted. It might look super pretty and awesome.
You can always use your old model.
But you can always use your old model. And one of the things that for all of our official events, we don't condone proxies. But if it's a Dark Age model and you say, it's armed roughly the same way, I don't want to go the whole WYSIWYG thing.
Yeah, but it's converted right. It represents what it's supposed to be.
Like the old Warwind being an Orchid. If someone's like, hey, this is my old Warwind, but today she's Orchid, as long as you've got the card there and it's a Dark Age model, I'm not,
conversions are okay.
Yeah, exactly. Conversions are okay. In fact, Dave does some amazing ones to make a bunch of Outcast guys fit with his salties.
I did that with my my weaponsmith and my field medic for this year. I wanted to make the graftery looking ones, so I made graftery looking ones basically.
You made really good use out of some Ravagers.
I did, and some really old bits. Ash, which Dark Age models are the most fun to paint? It's funny because I painted a bunch of Dark Age models recently, but they were Dark Age models I had owned for almost 15 years.
Oh.
Right? So like in the last 2 years since 2015, when Dave started talking to me about Dark Age, because when Dave Taylor went to work for Dark Age, that's when I started paying attention to it again, because I hadn't for a long time. I painted probably 20 or 30 miniatures that were the original sculpts from like the early 2000s. And then Dave got mad and said, why don't you paint new miniatures? And I started painting the K3 stuff. And I really enjoyed that because it was very different to paint like blue people. You know what I mean? Like I was using a very different palette. And then this week I started painting the new Forsaken models. And I have to say, they are some of the nicest, just like post-apocalyptic miniatures I've painted probably in the last like 5 or 10 years. And I've painted a lot of miniatures. But they've been great. I'm really stoked. I have to say, the thing I'm most excited to paint there right now is the new starter set, because I'm excited to paint some more high sci-fi miniatures in this world. And the Isaac stuff is literally like sci-fi commandos and the roller cyborgs from Star Wars with like a giant suit of power armor. Yeah. So I'm pretty stoked about it. It's gonna be really neat. And then of course I like painting big miniatures too. I got on a roll doing that when I started playing Wrath of Kings. So the Dragiri are gonna be after that. I'm gonna start a little Dragiri.
So that's a good transition. Because they're that same kind of large model scale size as far as getting in there and getting cool details.
Big fighters and stuff, but then like big blocks of color too. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, guys. I think we're just about done. We've run on for almost an hour. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. So we're going to do another one of these for Wrath of Kings at some point during the weekend. So stay posted to my Facebook and Twitter so that you guys can check out when that's going to be airing. I'm also going to be doing some live stuff. Well, it's not going to be live. It's going to be as close as live to possible for the Immortals tournament for this year. So what's going to happen is I'm literally going to record games. I'm going to run up to here. I'm going to edit them, and then I'm going to stream them like on my YouTube channel. So on Saturday, tomorrow, from 3 p.m. Eastern, when the tournament starts, you guys are going to get to see how many games is Immortals? 4?
It's based off of it's based off how many people show up.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because it's knockout.
Exactly. It's a best of setup, right, and then it's elimination down.
Yeah, it's top 4. That's right. Yeah. So it's best of 3 games, and then top 4 goes to 1.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay, so it's probably 5 games then, including the final. So starting at 3 p.m. I'm going to guess 2 hours after that, so 5 p.m. Eastern, you'll probably see the first game go up, and then they're just going to keep going up all through the night until we're done. Until I can't film them anymore, so you guys will see the Immortals finals as close to live as humanly possible, without us being able to actually do it live, so we don't have a hookup down there. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Brian, thank you for the Q&A.
No problem,
Thanks, you guys, for watching. We'll see you guys for more of this weekend. Stay tuned.